Most people think a narcissist just leaves when they realize they can't control you anymore, that they walk away quietly, defeated. But that's a lie. Narcissists don't surrender. They wait, they watch, and then they strike one last time, a final, desperate manipulation that doesn't just hurt you, it dismantles you. Not because they miss you, but because your strength terrifies them. They don't want the old version of you back because they loved you. They want them back because that version was easier to break. And if you're not careful, you'll fall right into the trap thinking you're helping someone, when you're actually sacrificing yourself. The truth is, narcissists aren't at war with who you were. They're at war with who you're becoming. The moment you start to heal, to stand tall, to look in the mirror and finally recognize your worth, that's when the danger begins. Because for the narcissist, your healing is a threat. Your strength is an insult. Your independence is an act of rebellion. That's when they switch tactics. That's when they begin to twist your growth into guilt. Not because they believe you're selfish, but because they know it's the only way to make you shrink again. It starts small. They say things like, "You're not who you used to be," or "Success has changed you." They'll frame your transformation as betrayal. Suddenly, your boundaries are cold. Your voice is aggressive. Your confidence is arrogance. But this isn't normal criticism. This is emotional reversal, a calculated attack meant to make you ashamed of becoming whole. Because if they can make you question your progress, you'll stop progressing, you'll start apologizing for being okay. And when you do that, they win without even lifting a finger. But if that tactic fails, they'll reach for something darker. They'll weaponize your memories. Nostalgia becomes a trap. They'll remind you of the good times of who you were before the books, before the therapy, before you changed. They'll say they miss your laugh, your softness, your old self. But what they really miss is your obedience, your silence. That version of you was easy to mold, easy to manipulate. What they're doing is called nostalgic manipulation, and it's designed to make your past feel safer than your present, so you'll run backward. But there's a truth they'll never admit. That old version of you didn't exist in peace. That person was suffering. That person cried themselves to sleep. That person wasn't free. If neither guilt nor memory works, the narcissist will unleash their final weapon, the most dangerous one. They'll play the victim. Suddenly they're broken, sick, struggling, lost. Just when you're finally stable, they become fragile, and you, being the caring, empathetic person you are, will feel the pull. You'll think, "How can I walk away now?" But here's the twist. This is manufactured vulnerability. Not a cry for help, but a ploy for control. And it's not random. It's timed, intentional. They wait until you're strong enough to stand on your own, and then they collapse in front of you, hoping you'll kneel beside them again. Why does it work? Because they know your heart, they know your triggers, they know you're the kind of person who'd rather suffer than abandon someone in need, and they count on that. They count on your kindness being stronger than your self-respect. They create chaos, financial crises, emotional breakdowns, family drama, all designed to force your hand, to make you break your boundaries just this once. But that once becomes a cycle, weeks, months, and before you know it, you're back in the same emotional prison you fought so hard to escape. So how do you resist it? How do you see through a trap so carefully wrapped in emotion? The answer is brutal but clear. You must separate empathy from obligation. You can care without sacrificing yourself. You can feel compassion without reopening wounds. And above all, you must ask yourself, if I help them, am I betraying myself? Because every time you return to that role, the rescuer, the fixer, the caretaker, you're giving them power. You're proving to them that their influence still matters more than your peace. Real strength isn't loud. It doesn't beg to be seen. It simply stays rooted while the storm tries to pull it out. And that terrifies the narcissist. Because they can't argue with silence. They can't twist stillness. They can't control someone who no longer flinches. And here's the truth they fear most. Your healing exposes their emptiness. Your light forces them to see their own darkness. And they'll do anything to dim it, not because it's wrong, but because it reminds them they chose control over growth. The narcissist's final move only works if you forget who you are, if you forget how far you've come. But if you remember the nights you cried, the days you doubted, and the strengths it took to choose yourself, you won't go back, not for guilt, not for love, not even for the illusion of peace. Because once you've tasted freedom, nothing is worth that cage. Again, if this spoke to you, share it. Someone out there is stuck in the same loop, waiting for a sign to break free. Be that sign.